Listen, you don't need more information. You already know what you need to do. You just haven't done it. You've read the books, watched the videos, attended the seminars, and yet something inside keeps saying, I'll start tomorrow. Let me tell you a truth that'll sting a little. Tomorrow is where your dreams go to die, because action doesn't start in the future. It starts when your mind says, no more waiting. You don't need another plan. You don't need another strategy. You don't need to wait for the right time. What you need is to make a decision that today is the day you stop hesitating and start moving. Because every second you spend thinking about what could go wrong is a second you steal from what could go right. The gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't filled with information. It's filled with implementation. You already know what to do. The problem is you haven't done it. And the reason you haven't done it is because you're comfortable. Comfort is the enemy of progress. The moment you get comfortable, you start losing the hunger that once pushed you forward. You have to confront yourself. You have to look in the mirror and admit that you've been letting feelings lead your life. You've been waiting to feel motivated, waiting to feel confident, waiting to feel ready. But action doesn't come from feelings. Feelings come from action. You don't wait to feel strong to act strong. You act strong. And that's what builds the feeling of strength. Most people think they lack motivation when really they lack movement. Motion creates emotion. The very moment you take that first step, momentum begins to build, and once momentum starts, resistance weakens. You cannot think your way into confidence. You act your way into it. It's not that you don't have time. Everybody has time. It's that you've given your time to things that don't move you closer to what matters. Every scroll, every distraction, every excuse is a tiny act of self-betrayal. You think you're relaxing, but you're actually retreating. You say you're resting, but you're really running from the responsibility of your own potential. You keep telling yourself, I'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow is a thief dressed like a promise. You've been saying tomorrow for years, and tomorrow has never shown up. There is no tomorrow, only now. When you feel stuck, it's not because life is holding you back. It's because you're holding yourself back with hesitation. Hesitation is the silent killer of opportunity. You think too long, you doubt too long, and then the window closes. Opportunities don't wait for your comfort. They respond to your courage. You've got to reach a point where the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the fear of change. That's when something breaks inside you. That's when you stop caring about how hard it feels and start caring about what it costs you not to act. The difference between winners and wishers isn't talent, it's tolerance. Winners have learned to tolerate the discomfort that comes with action. They understand that every new level requires a new level of discipline. Discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. The secret isn't to get rid of fear or doubt. It's to move while they're still whispering in your ear. Fear doesn't fade before the first step. It fades because of the first step. You can't wait for clarity. You create clarity through movement. You start small, stay consistent, and let consistency build confidence. You must learn to act faster than your feelings. When your mind says, do it later, your body has to say, do it now. The longer you wait, the louder your doubts become. The mind is a master of creating excuses, but it's also a servant when you train it with action. Every time you choose movement over hesitation, you rewire your brain for strength. You're teaching yourself that obedience to purpose is more powerful than obedience to fear. Most people don't fail because they can't. They fail because they won't. They let feelings decide their future. But feelings are temporary, purpose is permanent. There's a moment that comes for every person who's tired of waiting. A breaking point. When you say, I'm done watching, I'm done wishing, I'm done waiting, that moment changes everything because decision bursts direction. You don't need to see the whole path. Just take the first step. Faith isn't about seeing, it's about stepping. You move forward not because you're sure, but because you're certain you're done standing still. You must learn to trust that movement creates answers. The things you've been praying for are waiting on the other side of your obedience. Every great transformation begins with one simple choice: to move even when you don't feel like it. To act even when it's uncomfortable. To stop negotiating with your limitations. When you stop asking for permission and start demanding progress from yourself, everything changes. The power you're waiting for isn't coming from outside. It's been inside you the whole time, waiting for you to move. The gap between the life you want and the life you live is measured in action. You don't move because you should, you move because you must. Nothing changes until it becomes personal. The reason most people never take action isn't because they don't know what to do. It's because what they want doesn't move them deeply enough. Information without emotion leads to hesitation. You've got all the knowledge, all the plans, all the strategies, but none of it matters until your heart gets involved. The moment something touches your emotions, movement becomes natural. You can't think your way into taking action. You have to feel your way into it. When you attach emotion to your vision, it transforms from a wish into a mission. You have to feel the weight of what it costs you not to act. Feel the pain of staying the same. Feel the disappointment of watching another year pass without stepping into your potential. Most people don't change until staying the same hurts too much. Pain can be your greatest motivator if you stop running from it and start using it. When you remember what's at stake, your future, your peace, your purpose, you'll stop letting comfort convince you to wait. Emotion is the fuel of progress. Without emotional connection, your dreams remain flat words on paper. With it, they become living fire in your spirit. The problem is that too many people try to think their way out of an action. They analyze until they paralyze. They try to reason with fear instead of replacing it with focus. Fear doesn't disappear because you understand it. It disappears because you outrun it. You can't outthink fear. You have to outmove it. The moment you begin to move, fear loses its grip because fear feeds on stillness. As long as you stay still, your doubts grow stronger. The moment you move, your doubts start to die. Every step forward tells your fear, you don't control me anymore. If you want to take action, you must create an emotional connection with your vision so powerful that hesitation can't survive in its presence. Close your eyes and imagine the life you want. See it so clearly you can feel it. See yourself walking in the room with confidence. Hear the applause, smell the new environment, taste the victory. When your imagination becomes vivid enough, your body starts believing it's possible. The brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined. That's why visualization is not fantasy. It's training. It's emotional conditioning. You have to live the future in your mind until it becomes impossible not to build it in reality. If you only focus on what could go wrong, your emotions will freeze you in fear. But if you focus on what could go right, your emotions will fire you with courage. Energy follows focus. If you focus on failure, your energy drains. If you focus on possibility, your energy expands. Your emotions are not your enemies, they're your engine. You just have to point them in the right direction. Stop trying to suppress how you feel and start using how you feel. Anger can push you to rebuild. Frustration can push you to focus. Discontent can push you to create. Every emotion, when directed toward a purpose, becomes power. People wait for motivation like it's some magical force that's going to appear out of nowhere. Motivation doesn't show up before movement. It shows up because of movement. When you act, you generate energy. When you sit still, you drain it. That's why momentum is more powerful than motivation. Once you start, you won't want to stop, but you have to ignite the spark first. That spark is emotion. When your goal is connected to your heart, it becomes impossible to ignore. You won't need someone to remind you to show up. You'll wake up ready because your dream won't let you sleep. You have to connect your action to a reason that's bigger than convenience. If your goal only serves your comfort, you'll quit the moment it gets hard. But if it serves your calling, you'll push through anything. When your why is big enough, your how will appear. Emotion gives meaning to motion. Purpose gives power to pressure. You can't make consistent moves towards something you don't truly care about. Until your goal becomes your conviction, you'll keep treating it like an option. Conviction makes things non-negotiable. It says, this has to happen. No excuses, no delays. The truth is, your emotions already control your life. You just haven't been directing them. Every decision you've made came from what you felt in the moment. You spent when you felt lack. You quit when you felt fear. You stayed still when you felt uncertain. The key is to reverse the order. Stop letting your emotions dictate your direction and start making your direction dictate your emotions. Choose the feeling you want to follow. Choose the vision you want to serve. Train your emotions to align with your purpose, and your body will follow. Emotion is the fuel, but you are the driver. Stop waiting to feel ready. The feeling you're waiting for is never coming. Readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. People lose years of their lives waiting for motivation to knock on the door when motivation was never supposed to lead, it was supposed to follow. You don't get motivated and then move, you move, and then motivation shows up. The people who win in life aren't the ones who feel the best, they're the ones who act the fastest. You can't live your life based on moods because moods change like the weather. Commitment is the only thing that cuts through the noise of emotions. When you decide that you're going to do something, no matter what, your brain stops arguing and your body starts obeying. The difference between dreamers and doers is not desire, it's discipline. Everybody wants to win, but few are willing to work when they don't feel like it. The secret to forcing yourself to take action is to stop negotiating with your excuses. You don't need a better mood, you need a stronger mindset. A committed person doesn't ask, do I feel like it? They ask, did I say I would? Commitment doesn't check the temperature of your emotions. It checks the truth of your decisions. When you honor your word more than your feelings, that's when power is born. You can't keep chasing motivation like a drug. It gives you a high for a moment, but it fades as soon as you face resistance. That's why so many people start strong and finish weak. They depend on emotion instead of endurance. Commitment means showing up whether you're excited or exhausted. It means doing the work on the days when nothing feels right. It means saying yes to your purpose, even when everything in you wants to say no. The ones who make it aren't the most talented. They're the most consistent. Consistency will beat enthusiasm every single time. There will always be a reason to delay, a reason to wait, a reason to stay where you are. The mind will whisper, not now, not yet, maybe later, but later is the language of limitation. If you keep listening, your purpose will fade behind your procrastination. You have to make a choice to move forward when the conditions aren't perfect. That's what separates leaders from followers, builders from talkers. Commitment isn't built in comfort, it's built in conflict. Every time you push through resistance, you build a new layer of strength that emotion alone can never give you. Stop expecting the path to be easy. Easy doesn't create excellence. If you only work when it's convenient, you'll never become who you were created to be. Growth requires grind. Progress requires pressure. Diamonds are formed under heat. Muscles are built through resistance. The discomfort you feel is not punishment. It's preparation. It's the price of progress. When you embrace that, commitment becomes natural because you stop running from the process. You start realizing that the process is what produces power. Every repetition of discipline sharpens your character, strengthens your resolve, and silences your excuses. The reason commitment beats motivation is because motivation depends on conditions, but commitment creates them. Motivation says, I'll do it when I feel inspired. Commitment says, I'll do it until I am inspired. When you commit to something deeply enough, your mind finds a way to make it happen. You start finding energy where you thought you had none. You start seeing opportunities where you only saw obstacles. Because commitment rewires your focus. It tells your brain, this is who I am now. Once identity aligns with decision, action becomes automatic. You stop trying and start becoming. You don't have to move mountains all at once. You just have to move consistently. Small steps done daily beat massive efforts done occasionally. Every single day, you keep a promise to yourself. You build integrity, and integrity builds confidence. When you keep quitting on your own word, you stop trusting yourself. That's why people feel stuck. They've broken too many promises to themselves. The way to rebuild is simple. Do what you said you would do. Not when it's easy, not when it's fun, but because your word is law. Every time you keep your word, you prove to yourself that you're reliable. And when you believe in your reliability, you stop hesitating. Commitment is not glamorous. It's quiet, it's repetitive, it's unseen, but it's also where transformation hides. The loudest results come from the smallest repeated actions. The days you didn't feel like showing up are the days that built your strength the most. You can't shortcut the grind. You can't skip the seasons of silence and still expect the spotlight. Every promise fulfilled in private shows up later as power in public. The work you do in the dark prepares you for the light, and while everyone else waits to feel ready, the committed keep moving, the disciplined keep building, and the focused keep winning. Success is not built in the spotlight, it's built in the shadows. The moments nobody sees are the moments that decide everything. You can talk about what you want all day, but until your actions match your ambitions, you're just rehearsing regret. Discipline is what bridges the gap between what you say and what you see. Most people think they're waiting for opportunity, but in truth, opportunity is waiting for their discipline to catch up. Every big dream dies at the hands of small inconsistency. The difference between the ones who rise and the ones who remain is not talent, it's repetition. Discipline is the proof that you mean what you say. You can't keep promising yourself a new beginning while living the same behavior. Discipline means doing what needs to be done long after the excitement has faded. It's easy to act inspired when the music is playing and everyone's cheering, but the real test comes when it's just you, your thoughts, and your commitment. Discipline is forged in silence. It's the invisible work that turns potential into power. Every time you choose consistency over comfort, you cast a vote for the person you're becoming. Every time you follow through, you build trust with yourself, and when you trust yourself, confidence becomes automatic. Procrastination is the art of self-sabotage disguised as preparation. You keep convincing yourself you're waiting for the right time, but time is not waiting for you. The truth is, you're not out of time, you're out of tolerance. You've tolerated your own delay for too long. The world doesn't reward intentions, it rewards execution. Action will teach you more in 1 week than hesitation will in a year. You can't plan your way into progress, you have to act your way into it. Discipline means you show up whether or not the feeling follows. You move because you said you would, not because it feels good. Every time you delay, you strengthen the habit of hesitation. Every time you push forward, you strengthen the habit of progress. The problem isn't that you don't know what to do. It's that you've trained yourself to delay it. You've created comfort around your own excuses. You've told yourself, it's okay, I'll start when I feel ready. But feelings are liars. They whisper comfort while stealing calling. The people who win aren't fearless. They're faithful to their decisions. They move when it's uncomfortable because they know discipline doesn't demand perfection, it demands participation. Discipline doesn't make life easier, it makes you stronger. It doesn't remove resistance, it refines you through it. You're not supposed to enjoy every step, you're supposed to endure it until it becomes natural. Over time, what once felt heavy becomes light, not because it changed, but because you grew. The goal of discipline isn't to avoid pressure. It's to get used to performing under it. The more you do what's difficult, the less difficult it becomes. The first step will always feel hard, but the second one is lighter, and the third one builds momentum. Momentum is the reward of movement, and it's built through daily consistency. The key is to shrink the goal into actions so small that excuses can't survive. Don't focus on the mountain. Focus on the next step. Discipline doesn't require you to do everything. It requires you to do something again and again until it becomes part of who you are. The small tasks you ignore today are the same ones that decide your tomorrow. Every repetition compounds. The quiet, simple choices, the early mornings, the focused hours, the finished tasks are the currency of success. Every discipline act is a deposit into your destiny. People often ask how to stay motivated. But the truth is motivation fades. It's emotion-based. Discipline is principle-based. Motivation says, I feel like it. Discipline says, I said I would. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the engine. When motivation dies, discipline keeps the mission alive. You can't rely on being inspired. You must rely on being intentional. When you build habits that serve your purpose, action becomes automatic. You stop needing to push yourself and start being pulled by your identity. You begin to act from who you are, not what you feel. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your discipline. The dream you're chasing will not adjust itself to your level of effort. You have to rise to meet it. Every goal demands a version of you that's consistent enough to handle its weight. That's why discipline must come before success, because if you gain it without structure, you'll lose it without warning. Discipline is not punishment, it's preparation. It shapes you for what you say you want. It's the hidden work that turns potential into reality, the unglamorous grind that builds unshakable greatness. You will never rise above the story you believe about yourself. Every action you take is just a reflection of who you think you are. If you see yourself as average, you'll perform at an average level no matter how much potential you have. If you see yourself as powerful, you'll start moving like power belongs to you. You can't outwork a broken identity. Until you change the way you see yourself, you'll keep circling the same patterns, repeating the same habits, and wondering why nothing feels different. Real transformation doesn't start with activity, it starts with identity. You don't act your way into belief, you believe your way into action. The problem for most people is they keep trying to change what they do without changing who they are. They're trying to fix fruit when the root is rotten. They say, I want to be disciplined, but they still believe they're lazy. They say, I want to be successful, but they still see themselves as struggling. The identity that lives in your mind will always overrule the effort that lives in your hands. You can't perform differently than you perceive yourself to be. So before you chase a new goal, you have to adopt a new identity. You must stop saying, I'm trying to be, and start saying, I am becoming. Identity is not something you find, it's something you create. Every decision you make is a brick in the house of who you are building. The words you speak about yourself become the blueprint. When you keep saying, I'm not good at that, or I've never been consistent, you're programming your mind to stay where you are. The subconscious doesn't argue, it obeys. If you want to change your behavior, change the language that shapes it. Speak what you seek until what you speak becomes what you see. Your mouth is the steering wheel of your life. If you keep talking limitation, don't be surprised when your actions follow it. The strongest force in human nature is the desire to stay consistent with one's identity. That's why people self-sabotage. They don't fail because they don't have what it takes. They fail because success feels foreign to the identity they're carrying. If you've spent years calling yourself undisciplined, being consistent will feel uncomfortable. If you've believed you're unlucky, good breaks will feel undeserved. You'll find ways to shrink back to what feels familiar. That's why changing your habits isn't enough. You must rewire your identity to match the life you're building. When you see yourself as capable, your actions will naturally align with that belief. You have to decide who you are before the world tells you who to be. Most people are living under labels that don't belong to them. They've accepted opinions as identity. Someone told them they weren't good enough, and they believed it. Someone laughed at their dream, and they buried it. The moment you accept someone else's definition of you, you hand them control over your direction. You must reclaim that power. You have to stand up and say, that may have been true about me then, but it's not who I am now. The person you were doesn't limit the person you can become. Every day is an invitation to rewrite your own narrative. Identity shapes behavior, but environment reinforces it. You can't build a new identity while surrounding yourself with the people and places that keep feeding your old one. If you stay in spaces that remind you of who you were, you'll never have the energy to become who you're meant to be. You need people who speak to your potential, not your past. People who see greatness in you and won't let you settle for mediocrity. The wrong environment can suffocate new identity before it has a chance to grow. Protect your space, because identity grows where it's watered. To live from a new identity, you must act before you feel ready. Behavior confirms belief. When you start moving like the person you're becoming, your mind begins to align. If you want to be confident, speak confidently. If you want to be disciplined, move with discipline. If you want to be successful, act with intention. You can't wait to feel like it. You must do it until it feels natural. Every small action becomes evidence that the new identity is real. The more evidence you build, the stronger the belief becomes. You're not waiting for a new version of yourself to show up. You're in the process of becoming it right now. Every thought you think and every choice you make is sculpting that version. You have to let go of the idea that identity is fixed. It's fluid and you are the author. You have the authority to redefine yourself as many times as it takes. The moment you change your identity, your habits, emotions, and results will fall in line. When you start acting from who you truly are instead of who you used to be, your life begins to reflect that shift naturally. Faith is not about what you can see, it's about what you're willing to believe before the evidence appears. The reason most people never reach their potential is because they wait to move until they can see the whole path. They want proof before progress, they want signs before steps. But faith doesn't operate that way. Faith demands that you move first and the way will appear second. You can't build a powerful life waiting for certainty. You have to act like it's already yours even when it's still invisible. Every dream that's ever been realized started as something unseen, something believed long before it was built. When you live by sight, you become limited by circumstance. You let what's happening around you dictate what's happening within you. But when you live by faith, you let what's within you dictate what happens around you. Focus becomes your weapon. Faith is not blind, it's directed. It means you've chosen what you will believe in regardless of what you currently see. Every person who's ever done something great had to decide to trust their vision while everyone else doubted it. They didn't have all the answers, but they had conviction, and conviction moves mountains long before logic does. The battle for focus is the real fight. The world is designed to distract you. Every sound, every scroll, every notification is trying to divide your attention, and divided focus leads to diluted results. You cannot hit a target you refuse to look at. Faith-powered focus means you train your mind to keep your eyes on what matters. It means ignoring noise, resisting comparison, and refusing to let temporary problems block permanent purpose. When your focus is clear, your direction becomes unstoppable. You stop being pulled by pressure and start being pushed by purpose. Doubt will always whisper. It will tell you that you're not ready, that you're too late, that you've already failed too many times. But faith doesn't answer doubt with argument. Faith answers with action. Every time you move forward in uncertainty, you weaken the voice of fear. Fear feeds on inactivity. The longer you wait, the louder it grows. The moment you move, it begins to shrink. The size of your faith is measured by the size of the steps you're willing to take without reassurance. You can't wait for the feeling of confidence to come first. You have to walk in confidence before it arrives. Focus without faith turns into frustration, and faith without focus turns into fantasy. You need both. Faith gives you the belief to start. Focus gives you the discipline to stay. It's easy to begin when excitement is high, but staying committed when results are delayed takes another level of belief. You have to trust that every seed you plant is working even when you can't see it growing. Just because it's hidden doesn't mean it's not happening. The invisible seasons are where faith is tested and character is built. That's where you learn to move without applause, to trust without evidence, and to persist without proof. Faith-powered focus means you act like success is inevitable, not optional. You think, speak, and move as if it's already done. Your language changes. You stop saying if it works and start saying when it works. You stop reacting to challenges and start responding with clarity. Focus gives direction to your faith. It keeps you from being busy doing everything and forces you to stay consistent doing the right things. Most people fail not because they don't have enough faith, but because they scatter it. They start and stop so often that nothing ever gets a chance to grow. Focus takes faith from potential to power. You can't build momentum without movement. You can't sustain movement without meaning. And meaning comes from knowing your mission. Faith-powered focus doesn't just make you move, it makes you move intentionally. Every step becomes strategic. Every action aligns with purpose. You stop trying to do more and start doing what matters most. You learn that peace comes not from having everything under control, but from trusting that everything is under divine direction. That trust keeps your mind steady when circumstances shake. It keeps your heart calm when outcomes delay. When faith leads and focus follows, you become unstoppable. You don't need to see the end to take the next step. You don't need the applause to keep walking. You move because you know where you're going even if nobody else does. The vision in your heart becomes louder than the noise in your head. The unseen becomes more real than what's seen. And while the world waits for signs, you create them through your steps because faith doesn't wait for proof. It produces it.